Hello, my friends. This is the Fat Man, Rick Hilliard, coming at you from my home studio slash art room, whatever you want to call it. As promised, I've been meaning to go back over time and revisit some of my earlier videos because at the time I didn't have this rig set up to do a down view. So this is the Haunted Ruins of the Dunlendings from J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle Earth, a ready to run fantasy role playing adventure module for Lord of the Rings from Iron Crown Enterprises. As always, these are great systems, great game systems. This was circa 1985, so it was the year I graduated from high school that this one came out. The thing about these are kind of timeless. The basic system for the mechanics for the Lord of the Rings fastest or ICE's version of the Lord of the Rings game RPG is using Rollmaster, and it's the D100 percentile system. But the source material itself you can utilize, and that's what I often did, is I took the background material and I used an updated version of D&D's rules. So this is the world setting, and these are the, we'll use the difference in the mechanics, but the basic concept behind the combat mechanics is not really tough. It's a real easy system to learn once you get the hang of it. It's a little less convoluted than Rollmaster in some aspects. But we have the, a little map of the region and the Haunted Ruins of the Dunlendings. Author is Ruth Sokard, editor Peter Fellon, and lots of nice contributors and people and so on and so forth. So we have guidelines for using the Middle Earth ready to run cities. The Middle Earth role-playing game designed for game masters on adventures and be set up in a few minutes, played in a few hours, etc., etc. Haunted Ruins of the Dunlendings has 4 parts. Section 1 deals with the guidelines regarding the use of modules. Section 2 provides pre-generated characters for the players, which can be used as non-player characters if so desired. Third part contains sections 3, 4, and 5, i.e. the adventures. Each adventure stands on its own, although a common theme unites them as stories. They're going to be set anywhere in Middle Earth with a story which seems appropriate. Alternately, the adventure locations can be key to Ice, Urk, and the Past of the Dead, where the mention is made of each site. So, handling the play, adapting the module to your own game, player characters. There's a series of potential player characters: Hobbit, Dwarf, Wood Elf, Dunlanding, Dwarf, Hobbit, Rohirrim, so on and so forth. Adventures at Minas Angehn, Tale of the Lonely Tower. High in the mountains west of the mining town of Cadbit ngren, a solitary tower rises. This is an area of northwestern Gondor, so it's on the southern side of the White Mountains. If you're interested, Tales of the Lonely Tower, coming of Corbin Soset. During the Third Age, 1170, during the reign of Prince Turgon II of Morthon, a seer named Girthin came to the area, trying to find a quiet place to pursue his historic studies. Purchased this mountaintop from the prince, brought in an odd assortment of workmen, including some dwarves from the Misty Mountains, erected his home upon the seared foundations of a Dunedain watchtower. The structure then became known as Minas Angehn, grew remarkably quickly, restored by winter. Girthin then hired several locals as servants, his only requirement apparently being that they had no dependents and no relatives in the area. One of these servants became his apprentice, took over as master of Minas Angehn when Girthin died, so he founded the dynasty of Seers of Minas Angehn, and so it continued. Over time, few saw these Seers except their servants, and the only sign of their continued presence was the servants' trips to town for supplies, either in Seer, Urk, or Cabed Argan. The latest Seer of the tower is Niniel. She was not the first female Seer, but the Seers traditionally found that talent sprang forth in women as often as it did in men. Norfin in a foundling home from the age of 5. Niniel was adopted by Seer Niniel when she reached 12. She went from poor but happy life of the foundling home, which she had 10 other children to play with, to the wealthy but confined life at Minas Angehn. Brought in as a housemaid, she became Lowen's apprentice only 2 years later. The old seer, basically kind but distant, absent-minded, the other servants generally ignored Niniel. After she became the apprentice, she grew from a lonely child to a lonely and eccentric woman. When Lonely died, Niniel was 31, and she was absorbed into the study as any of the seers had ever been. Reluctant to subject another child to suffering life of isolation, she did not pick an apprentice. When the plague came in 1636, Niniel knew of it from her magical observations in nearby towns, but her discoveries were mistimed. Although the tower was isolated enough to save the seer and her household from the dreaded sickness, the last supply run came too late. A servant caught the plague and affected the others. Niniel possessed some healing powers for a while. It was well, then suddenly all 3 servants succumbed, one after another, within a space of 2 days. Niniel buried them herself, retired to her library. She felt tired and dizzy and died that night. Alone among her books and scrolls, no one knew of her passing. If they had, someone might have carried her on her will, which dictated that all of her money would go to the foundling home. And the coming of Corbin Senya, 2 years after her death, a man and woman arrived at Minas Angehn named Corbin Senya. They were fleeing from arrest for banditry and robbery in the Linhier area. Pursuers followed them to Sarna Erk, where the pair were barely escaped by climbing out the back window of a 7 Stars tavern. After observing the garth for a day and seeing no signs of life, they cautiously scaled, looking for the locked gates, and entered the stables, where they found the bones of 2 mules and a horse in the stalls. Disturbed but wary that finding no other sign of life, they bedded down for the night in an empty stall. The next day, the pair continued to explore, deducing the place was abandoned. The room doors mystified them, but they were too prudent to search further. Waiting 2 weeks for the hunt to die down, Corbin left to see if he could dig up any of his old gang members, leaving Niniel to guard the hold. He returned 3 weeks with his old henchmen and their new friends and 5 stolen horses. Soon the new gang was ready for business. Prince Avidar's lack of interest in maintaining patrols ensured the peace, provided Corbin's bandit opportunity for steady business. So we got basically a bandit group set up in this place. So we go with the NPCs. Corbin the Snake, 32-year-old bandit in mixed ancestry. Niniel Nine Fingers. She is the weasel of the fiercest kind, illegitimate daughter of a noble dull Amroth. She ran away with a handsome soldier at the age of 14. The warrior left her with a robber prince in the Ringo Valley 6 months later, exchanging her in Smathian for a horse and a fine sword. Niniel responded to her plight by killing the bandit lord within a year, after he'd cut off her little finger to teach her some respect, and then fled with 100 gold pieces and 2 horses to Glenhere, so on and so forth. The Ghost in Niniel the Seer, Forlong, and the Master Juggler. The layout of Minas Angehn, Adler the Seer, outer structure, the tower. Niniel Corpus bedroom, curtain and canopy bed is draperies of green. Under the rug is an outline of a secret floor compartment, which is very hard to detect. It has a trap. If this hiding spot is open without first pressing in the center rose in the pattern of carved stone roses on the top of the fireplace, a rain of crossbow bolts is unleashed through the ceiling. Anyone within 3 feet of the compartment will receive 1 to 4 plus 20 crossbow bolts. To your D20 fans, that would be plus 2 crossbow bolts, just so you know. Inside the compartment may be found 105 gold, a small box carved from a single large flawed amethyst, worth 30 gold, containing 2 Tyra-Fear, a leaf that restores life if administered within 56 days of death, worth 1,200 gold pieces, a bracelet of silver. Quite a little haul. A number of other things there. 2 large black cloak chests strapped with iron, very hard to unlock, filled with clothing, a little bit more loot, various towers. book also tells how the bottom left-hand drawer in Niniel's desk contains a certain little wooden box called the Box of Pains, with 9 compartments arranged 3 by 3. The Box of Pains center compartment stands empty, while the outer 8 compartments each contain colored glass cubes. What calls them red prison, blue outside, green vault, yellow roof, orange door, room, violet recovery, black nowhere, white holding. The cube in the center compartment. If a cube is in the center compartment, anyone entering the central shaft of the room will be sent to the associated place. Should a cube be withdrawn from the central nook, anyone on the spot corresponding to the other side of the seer door will be transported back to the seer's door as long as they're still living. Black cube is the cube of instant death, sending a victim or victims hundreds of feet below into the earth. The yellow cube sends the user into a yellow slab of limestone near the center of the roof. Orange cube sends the person to an orange floor tile in the room with doors. Let's see a web painting. Seer's library is graced by 6 fine paintings, 2 which serve as mystical windows. The web painting, a person can be transferred from the secret prison into a more accessible basement prison by using this enhanced oil rendering. The picture shows a fly caught in a spider's web, but if one wearing a seer's ring gazes on it for 3 rounds, the painting becomes a window on the secret prison. By turning the ring 3 times upon one's finger, the wearer can effect a transfer. Interesting. The halls under the garth, storeroom, Garth's room, for reasons best known to himself. The crazy cleric wants to live underground, so the bandits let him clear out his former storeroom. He has a pallet in one corner and a permanent altar against the back wall. The vast well room, the underground, secret prison, basement prison, the seer's vault. Some interesting stuff in there. The task. Journey to Minas, the task. Journeys to Minas are going to tend to resolve around 1 of 3 objectives. Discover the secret of Niniel's ghost and the nature of her abode. 2. Clear the site of Corba's band, making trade safe again on the road in the canyon below. Or 3. To find and loot the treasure of the seers. None of these aims are particularly easy, although the latter is unquestionably most dangerous and most profitable. Minas Angehn is about 10 miles or 7.5 as the Kerben Fies, east of the village of Cabergen, up a twisting mountain road marked by numerous stone bridges and retaining walls. About 10 families reside in the village. Adventurers attempting to travel up to Long Eye Tower invariably pass through the somewhat rude stone-built village. For any other route requires travel over exceedingly dangerous alpine terrain. Starting pre-generated PCs, other starting points, aids, obstacles. Of course, the bandits, the traps, the ways to get in and out. The second one is encounters Niniel's ghost. If she realizes she's noticed, Niniel will seem to appear as a normal person, just as she was last when she was alive, even seemingly to possess the items she may have been removed from her skeleton in the library. She will ask them what they are doing there by stating, "What by Gorba grants you the right? Who by Danu possesses your spirit and spawns this outrageous trespassing?" The adventurers admit to taking the money. Niniel will tell them, threatening that the money must go to the founding home in Cern Urk, a nearby town. If they dissemble, she will ask them if they would please take the money there. She will then follow the money invisibly to make sure it goes where it should. If she receives a firm promise that the money will go to the founding home, she will give the adventurers permission to each take 1 item from the chest. If they do not promise, or if they try to take more than 1 item, or they just do any other pleasant things, and to Niniel this includes just leaving, they will face her full wrath both as a high-level seer and a ghost. Trespassers will not have time to play around or test the items once the dead seer tells each one to take one. Corbin Sentinel murders Corbin, immediately banishes his broadsword while Sentinel palms her deadly dagger, holding Carmel back by the edge of his surcoat. Sermon says, "Well, what do you think, my lord, Frith's fodder?" Corbin laughs, saying, "Abandon your weapons, lads. They'll weigh you down on your way home." The bandit band, Corba, Sentinel, Parrot Bandits, blah blah blah. Typical. typical fighting eliminates the problem. And then there's the Adventure at the Seven Stones. It's more of another undead kind of unearthly thing to deal with. And the Task, the Adventure. Then there's the Adventure at Hogo Tarzan. Mountains north of Tarley's Neck, steep butte of a blue mountain shines at dusk. And yet more stuff dealing with the undead. I think this would be a mid-level adventure. You probably would not want low-level characters to go here. Just judging by what I'm seeing in here. Interesting material, interesting things. Lower-level tasks. Encounters table, encounters a Hogan Tarse van. A little bit of the maps to go with it. Previous stuff available from Iron Crown, War Master, Space Master, Middle Earth campaign modules. There you have it. Anything. J.R.R. Tolkien's Middle Earth. The Iron Crown Enterprises ready to run adventures. The haunted ruins of the Dunlendings, my friends.